Have you ever wondered how Rome, the eternal city, began? It wasn't built in a day, and it certainly wasn't built by emperors from the start. Before the famous Republic, before Caesar and Augustus, Rome was ruled by kings, 7 of them to be exact. But were they real historical figures or just characters in a grand myth? Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the 7 kings of Rome to uncover the truth behind the crown. Rome's first rulers weren't just kings, they were legends, tyrants, and visionaries. But how much of what we know is fact, and how much is fiction? Let's dive in. Our story begins with the most famous brothers in history, Romulus and Remus. Suckled by a she-wolf, raised by a shepherd, their tale is legendary. After a fatal quarrel with his brother, Romulus founded his city on the Palatine Hill in 753 BC. But a city is just a collection of huts without people and structure. Romulus knew this. He established the first Roman legions, creating a military force from the outset. He also created the Senate, a council of elders to advise him. More importantly, he established a fundamental social division that would define Roman society for centuries: the patricians, the elite landowning class, and the plebeians, the common folk. Romulus, the mythical founder, laid the very first stones of Roman identity. He's said to have mysteriously vanished in a storm, ascending to godhood as Quirinus, a fittingly dramatic end for a legendary beginning. After Romulus, Rome needed a different kind of leader. Not a warrior, but a peacemaker. Enter Numa Pompilius. Numa was a Sabine, a neighboring people, and he was known for his piety and wisdom. He wasn't a conqueror. In fact, his reign was marked by complete peace. His mission was to give Rome a soul. Numa established Rome's most important religious institutions. He created the calendar, dividing the year into 12 months and designating days for business and days for religious observance. He founded the priesthoods, like the Vestal Virgins who tended the sacred fire of Rome, and the Pontifex Maximus, a title that would later be held by Roman emperors and even the Pope. By intertwining law, religion, and daily life, Numa Pompilius transformed a rough settlement of warriors into a cohesive, pious society. He gave the Romans a sense of shared purpose beyond conquest. But peace couldn't last forever. The third king, Tullus Hostilius, was the complete opposite of Numa. He was a warrior through and through, and he thirsted for glory. His reign was defined by conflict, most famously the war against Alba Longa, Rome's own mother city. Instead of a massive battle, the war was decided by a legendary duel between 3 Roman brothers, the Hieraci, and 3 Alban brothers, the Curiati. Rome won, and Tullus Hostilius did something shocking. He razed Alba Longa to the ground and moved its entire population to Rome. This move doubled Rome's population and military strength. He also built the Curia Hostilia, the first Senate house, giving a physical home to Roman politics. Tullus neglected the gods for the sake of war, and legend says Jupiter struck him down with a bolt of lightning for his impiety. A stark warning to future kings: don't forget the gods. Next in line was Ancus Marcius, Numa's grandson. He was a perfect blend of his grandfather's piety and Tullus's military ambition. He revived Numa's religious ceremonies, but also successfully waged war against the Latins, further expanding Roman territory. His greatest contributions, however, were in construction and infrastructure. He founded the port city of Ostia at the mouth of the Tiber River, giving Rome access to the sea and crucial trade routes. He built the first bridge across the Tiber, the Pons Sublicius, a wooden bridge that was a marvel of engineering for its time. This connected the city to the Janiculum Hill, which he fortified, and for those who broke the law, Ancus built Rome's first prison, the Mamertine prison. Ancus Marcius was a builder, a pragmatist, who expanded Rome's physical and economic horizons. The era of Latin and Sabine kings was over. Now, a new power entered the scene, the Etruscans. The fifth king, Lucius Tarquinius Priscus, was an ambitious immigrant from an Etruscan city. He moved to Rome, changed his name, and worked his way into the favor of King Ancus, eventually becoming king himself. Tarquin the Elder, as he's known, brought a new level of sophistication to Rome. He was a master of public works. He drained the marshy lowlands between the hills, and laid the groundwork for the Roman Forum, the future heart of the city. He also established the Circus Maximus, the grand chariot racing stadium that would become one of Rome's most iconic entertainment venues. He celebrated military victories with the first Roman triumphs, grand parades that would become a staple of Roman culture. Tarquinius Priscus brought wealth, spectacle, and Etruscan influence, transforming Rome from a regional town into a grander, more cosmopolitan city. His successor's story is just as remarkable. Servius Tullius was said to have been born a slave in the royal palace. As a child, his head was seen to be wreathed in harmless flames as he slept, a sign of his divine destiny. He married Tarquin's daughter and eventually took the throne. Servius's reign was all about reform. He conducted the first Roman census, a radical idea at the time. But this wasn't just about counting people. He used the census to completely reorganize the army and the voting assemblies. From then on, a citizen's military obligation and political power were determined by their wealth, not their birth. This was the Servian constitution. It was a massive shift that gave more power to the newly wealthy, regardless of whether they were patrician or plebeian. He also expanded the city, building the massive Servian wall to enclose all 7 hills of Rome, defining the city's physical boundaries for centuries. But the Age of Kings was nearing its violent end. The 7th and final king was Lucius Tarquinius Superbus, or Tarquin the Proud. He was the son of Priscus, and he seized the throne by having his father-in-law, the beloved Servius Tullius, murdered and thrown into the street. His reign was one of terror and oppression. He ruled as a tyrant, ignoring the Senate and executing his opponents. He used the people for forced labor on grand projects, like completing the Great Temple of Jupiter on the Capitoline Hill. The final straw came with the horrific crime committed by his son against a noblewoman named Lucretia. Her subsequent suicide in front of her family ignited a revolution. Led by a man named Lucius Junius Brutus, the Roman people rose up, expelled Tarquin the Proud and his family, and swore an oath that they would never again be ruled by a king. And so, in 509 BC, the monarchy was overthrown. From the mythical Romulus to the tyrannical Tarquin, these 7 kings, part myth, part history, forged the city's foundations. They created its laws, its religion, its army, and its very identity. They built the infrastructure and established the social classes that would define Rome for the next 1,000 years. They took a small village on the Tiber and turned it into the most powerful city in Italy. The kings were gone, but their legacy was etched into the very stones of Rome. Their story, a mix of legend and political reality, serves as the dramatic prelude to an even greater chapter in history. Rome's kings are gone, but what comes next will shock you. Join us next time as we explore the tumultuous and thrilling story of the birth of the Republic. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into ancient history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. See you then.